Hey guys, Solomon here. I hope you are having a great day. In today's video, we're going to be covering the Hippopotamus Defense, but I'm going up against a friend of mine, Cameron, with CG Chess. Now, I highly recommend that you go and check out his channel. He's got some great content and a very unique perspective that I think can help a lot of you. Okay, so if you're interested in some very good chess content from someone who is in the process of getting to that next level, I highly recommend that you click that link in the description, go check his channel out, and smash that subscribe button. It would mean a ton. Now, in this game, again, I'm going up against Cam, and Cam starts this thing off with the move of e4. Now, as you see in the title, a good hippo is a flexible hippo. A flexible hippo is a good hippo. Same thing, right? Now, we're going to get into that. Are hippos actually flexible in real life? I don't know. Probably not. Based on, I just don't know. It's hard for me to imagine them doing stretches and stuff, but whatever. We have this move e4. I play this move g6, looking to Fianchetto my dark squared bishop, playing the modern defense. When I play the Hippo defense, I start out with the modern. You can play a Pirc to start. You can play an Owen's defense. I've even seen someone play a French defense. I have a French defense game included in my Hippopotamus defense course because it started out with the French and then it turned into a Hippo. Okay, so there's so many different moves that you can start with at move one to get yourself into this thing. But I personally am a big fan of starting out with the modern defense. There's so many great systems that you can go out of this with. The Pirc defense is one of them. You can just continue to play a regular modern. In some cases, you can get into more of a Carl Khan type setup. So many great options for black. But all that to say, we have this move d4. I Fianchetto my bishop, and then I play d6. I play these three moves against virtually anything I see. Okay, there's some exceptions, but I mean, these three moves, are great ways to start. And from this point, over time, I've kind of shifted my approach to move 4. Okay, now, when I first started playing, I was playing knight d7 a ton. Not in this position, as you're going to see why in a moment. But, for a while I was playing knight d7. I think I was looking at a6 as well. But I finally decided e6 was really what fit my style the best because I wanted to really match up these pawns face to face as quickly as I could. Because now, if white plays e5, we have the option of locking things down. If white plays d5, we have the option of locking things down. Okay, now, when you're playing the Hippopotamus defense, if your opponent plays d5, you're going to play e5 almost every single game. If they play e5, you don't necessarily have to push. We're going to get into that in a moment. But in this case, okay, whether you're a player who plays the Hippo and you enjoy playing h6 or you enjoy playing, e6, knight d7, a6, in this position, guys, please don't play knight d7, okay? Don't play knight d7. I don't care if you're playing a Pirc, a regular modern. Don't play knight d7 in this position because the bishop eyes your pawn on f7. The weakest pawn in chess because only a king defends it. In this case, white captures that thing off, forces our king out, right? I guess we don't have to take it. We could play king f8, which is actually the computer move, but who wants to be down a pawn and f pawn at move, at move 5? I don't. And if you take the bishop, things get worse because of knight g5 with check. Notice here, if king f8, knight e6, we are going to lose our queen to a knight fork. If we play king e8, knight e6 is played, our queen can't even move. And if king f6, queen f3, guess what? We just got checkmate at move 9. It's time to go home. So we go back to this move, bishop c4. The second you see this, guys, just lock it down with a move like e6, castling kingside. And in this game, I play the move h6. I don't have to play h6, right? I could have played a move like knight e7 first. And sometimes I'll alternate my move order from here just a little bit. But as of late, I've been playing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and oftentimes 5, okay? Either h6 or knight e7. That's usually what I play on move 5 there. Okay. Now we have this move c3. I play knight e7, followed by b6, looking to Fianchetto my second bishop. Notice here, white plays the move of e5. Now I mentioned that our approach to d5 and e5 are often very different. Now let's first look at this move of d5, which again, Cameron did not play in this game, looking to attack my pawn. In this instance, I honestly don't think from a practical standpoint, d5 would have been a good move because I'm a big fan of this idea of e5. We now have a King's Indian defense type structure in the sense that our dark squared pawns are on d6 and e5, and white has very advanced pawns on e4 and d5. And at some point here, we could even play knight d7 first, but we are going to break with f5. Go after this pawn on e4, start to put some pressure on it, and oftentimes we're not even going to take that pawn on e4. We're going to, knight f6, castle kingside, f4, g5, tuck the other knight, keep expanding. We're going to get great attacking chess. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten really, kind of smooth, easy wins based out of a position just like this. And if white wants to take, Okay, we take back with a G-pawn, because pawns side by side here, I mean, they're wiping out half of the 4th rank, which is on white's side of the board, and white can't force our pawns to push. Now, at some point, we might want to, right? At some point, if there's some kind of fork or something, right, we might want to play a move like E4, but even in this case, the computer just has the castle king side, okay? You also don't want to be, too greedy and get a fork, but kind of break your position wide open when you're not ready for it. But we can play F4, we can play E4 whenever we want. We're not forced. And the opponent, every single move, has to worry about this. Okay. And again, when you take this pawn on F5, guess what? That pawn just got a little bit weaker. So we could even start putting pressure on D5 with a move like knight F6, really going after that pawn. Very uncomfortable position for white. And Stockfish agrees on a better evaluation for the black side. So all I have to say, we go back to this move of knight D2, right? We play a move like B6. If you see D5, I often just lock things down. We get great attacking chances on the king side, often against their king, and it leads to a very fun game. Now, the reason that we don't just leave the pawn there is, I mean, let's just say we make a move like A6, right? If white takes and we take back with this pawn, notice the king doesn't defend both of these. They're both a little bit dicey, okay? They're both defended at the moment, but neither of these pawns is very secure in the long run based on the king's placement. Now, some of you, and for good reason, are asking why. I mean, obviously the king doesn't defend these, but notice if the same thing happens on the other side, the queen does defend them, as we're about to see. Okay, let's say we see a move like E5. Now, D5 is playable, but when I see the move of E5, like I did in this game, I look to fianchetto my bishop, and in certain moments in this game, I'm just looking at this knight on F3. And notice, if white did take, I take back with the C pawn. The queen defends these, okay? You can put pressure on this pawn all you want. You could, get the knight out of the way at some point, play a move like bishop F4. The queen defends it, and the queen defends B6 as well if we want to play A6. So the queen can defend these pawns right in front of it and the diagonal of the queen in a way that the king does not, if that makes any sense. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on that down in the comment section below or any thoughts on it. Okay, but all that to say, when I see the move of E5, I don't automatically just push. Whereas with D5, I oftentimes just go, you know what, I'm going to push to E5. Now, on top of that, guys, I do want to mention, going back, okay, to this whole D5 move here, the computer is saying to take on D5. This is when you take the computer's advice with a grain of salt, okay? Yes, black is totally okay there, maybe even slightly better according to the engine if we take that pawn. But from a practical standpoint, I just don't think it's going to be easy, right? Why are we playing the Hippopotamus Defense if we're simply going to break the game open, the E-file up against our king on move 10, okay? In a lot of situations, taking is not a good idea, and E5 leads to such a fun game for black from a strategic standpoint, all right? But okay, we have the move E5 from white. In that case, I just fianchetto my bishop. I can play D5 whenever I want, and if you take here, I take back with a flank pawn. I'm still gonna have two center pawns. You're only gonna have one in that situation. Here I play the move A6, looking to potentially play B5, and we now have this move of A4 from my guy Cam. Now this is actually a pretty good move. If you're trying to slow the hippo down, play moves like A4 and H4, and just kind of prevent these pawns from pushing. Okay, it's a pretty solid approach. All that to say, though, black is still okay here. I play this move of knight d7, and here we have the move of knight e4. I can't tell you how often stuff like this happens against the hippo. The hippo is a rock solid structure, right? We've played our 10 moves. We got our full thick-skinned hippo. We've got our two tugged knights, our two fianchetto bishops, 6 pawns on the 6th rank, all that kind of good stuff. And now white's trying to break it open. And most of the ways that someone can try to, break the hippo open is simply losing, in all honesty. Okay, one of my friends said, when you play against the hippo, don't fight it, don't hit it, don't try to ambush it, just give it a big old hug. Hang out with it, right? Give it a hug. Don't try to go crazy on it, right? And that's good advice, okay? Because if you do attack the hippo too hard, oftentimes you're the one that's actually gonna, get attacked in return. In this case, I play the move of bishop takes e4, forcing that rook out, then playing d5. We now have a pawn fork right in the center of the board against their bishop and their rook. Anytime you push a pawn against the hippo, one of the bishops is going to come alive. And in this case, I can take that knight, give a fork. I take back with the pawn here. Rook goes back. Now notice here, I'm up a piece for a pawn. I'm up 2 points in material. Now, when I'm up in material, I want the game to be boring. Let me give you an analogy. Okay, if I'm playing in a tournament game, okay, and you walk by, let's say you walk by my game, I don't want you to go, oh my gosh, wow, Solomon here has 4 queens. His opponent has 5. The kings are somehow both in the center of the board, even approaching the other person's side. Both sides have triple isolated pawns. Is the math right on that? We're queens. Anyways, I think it is. Triple isolated pawns from both sides. I can't calculate anything. I don't know how this position ever got reached. This is crazy. Oh, wow. Solomon's up a piece for a pawn, though. I'd rather have the following situation than what you just heard, okay? Because 4 or 5 queens each flying around, kings on opposite sides, going crazy. A piece, it's cool, but it's not, there's so much going on that, honestly, it might not matter that much, okay? Now, let me give you another example. Okay, you walk by my board and you go, wow, that game is boring. Like, there's like nothing going on. Both sides are kind of just doing normal moves, but oh wow, Solomon's up a piece for a pawn. I'd rather have that situation. I'd rather just be up a piece in a boring game than be up a piece in a crazy one. And if you're down in material, you want to make the game crazy. You want to make it complicated. You want your opponent to make a mistake. And the way to do that is to make it a complicated, open, crazy, uneven game. So in this case, I realized that, okay, well, how is white going to break this game open? E6 is an idea here. Okay, the rook just had to run away, but now E6, right? Attacking F7, attacking my knight, supported by the rook. I don't want to let that happen, so I play this move of knight F8, fill that square in on E6, and notice now all of these highlighted squares are covered by my knights, and these pawns are simply stuck, okay? So remember, if you're up material, you don't got to try to win the game right away. In fact, you should probably try to do the opposite. You should probably try to just play calm. Slowly improve your position, right? Don't let them get any counterplay. I'm not saying to play passive, right? I don't think those moves were too passive. Knight F8, Knight E6. These were simply improving moves, right? That get my pieces in a better spot, and I'm going to go from there, okay? Bishop A3 is played here. I now play Knight F5, just looking to activate these guys. We have the move of Queen D2, and this is kind of, what the whole title is based around is this move, okay? Flexible hippo equals good hippo. And, I think a lot of players, not just in the Hippopotamus Defense, if you play any kind of opening with the Fianchetto Bishop, I'm talking the Pirc Defense, the King's Indian Attack, King's Indian Defense, if you, there's so many out there, okay? The Catalan, if you're playing the Modern Defense, if you're playing the English, the Owens, if you're playing the Queen's Indian Defense, if you're, I can keep going. The bishop doesn't have to stay there forever, okay? And I think a lot of people forget that. In this case, white has spent a ton of time pushing their pawns, and forming a pretty good chain that actually kind of locks my bishop down. My bishop's not very good. But in the hippo, or any opening where you have a fianchettoed bishop, remember that if your bishop gets locked down at some point, you're only one move away, right, from getting a very active diagonal. Now, in this case, how do I get an active diagonal? Because this doesn't see that far, let's be honest. H5, bishop H6. 2 moves, my bishop's way better, right? It's way better than it was. White can lock down one diagonal. It's going to be hard for them to lock all 3 of these down, okay? It's going to be tough. So when you have your bishop here, it's very dynamic, and it's a very simple move, right? 1 square up, 1 square back. You got a very active piece, all right? So I attack that queen. Remember, your bishops need to be flexible in the hippo or any other opening you play, in which case you're fianchettoing a bishop. I play this move of knight h4, looking to trade. I'm up material. I want to trade down. I capture back with the queen. G3 is played. I play queen g4, just looking to put the pressure on white a little bit. And I continue here by taking that pawn on d4 because white pushes this pawn, giving this guy less support. I capture that guy off. And white takes there. No matter what, they're going to lose material because of that fork. I get my queen out of the way. E6 is played. Now, guys, a lot of you, and I understand, okay? A lot of you guys might see a move like E6 and think that white has a great attack here, right? And in one sense, they might if we misplay this. But let's just remember, right? How many points are we up in material? We're up 5, right? We're up 5 points in material. This is when we need to take a breath, take a second, and go, okay, I'm up 5 points in material. I can give some material back if I need to. If I give 5 points back, which, is not ideal because then you're even material. Okay, we're at even material, right? If I have to give it back to stop the attack, that's an option. If I can give back 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 point back, I'm still up in material and I'm still going to have a 1 endgame. So in this case, I'm, especially with this rook being attacked, guys, I'm not trying to win this game right away. I'm not trying to win material. I'm just trying to get my king safe. Castle kingside, right? The pawn pushes. I drop my rook over. F3 is played. In that case, I just take it. Rook F2, pin the rook, and here my guy Cam resigns. Okay, but remember, when you're playing the Hippo, the Pirc, so many different openings, remember that your bishops, right? Bishop or bishops are not stuck on their Fianchettoed square forever. You're not that far away from dropping it 1 square up or 1 square back and earning yourself a great diagonal. Again, it would mean a ton to me if you go over to CG Chess and subscribe to his channel. I will leave a link in the description below, and I'm wishing y'all a great day. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of February in 2024. You guys have been amazing. I'm extremely blessed to have you guys as part of the Patreon family. There's exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. So, I highly recommend that you check it out and consider it. It's been great to, hang out and get to know the patrons that have joined thus far. And I hope to see you there soon. Have a good day.